The Netherlands doesn't take up much space on a map. In fact, if you're looking at Europe for the first time, your eye will probably miss it. But once you start paying attention, you realize there's a lot going on in this little corner of the continent. Canals nestled between old buildings, windmills still turning, and bicycles everywhere. That's the Netherlands. Officially, the country's name means the lower countries, and that name is quite accurate. Much of the Netherlands is below sea level. In some places, you can't help but wonder how someone could have looked at this land centuries ago and thought, yes, let's build a town here. The sea has always been the country's greatest challenge. Storms and floods have shaped Dutch history for hundreds of years. But instead of moving to safer places, the Dutch stayed where they were. They built dikes, dug canals, and for generations found ways to keep the water under control. At one point, protecting themselves was no longer enough. They even started creating new land. Areas that were once sea are now covered with houses, roads, farms, and entire communities. Today, approximately 18 million people live in the Netherlands. The country is situated between Germany and Belgium and is small enough to be traversed by car in a few hours. However, for such a small place, it has an unusually large impact on the world. Economically, culturally, and historically, the Netherlands has had far more influence than its size suggests. In the mornings, people are heading to work, school, or a quick stop at the supermarket. Remarkably, very few people drive cars. Instead, almost everyone cycles. Bikes are everywhere. They are parked along the canals, lined up in front of train stations, and constantly crossing bridges. At first glance, it seems chaotic, but once you get used to it, it's very convenient. The entire city is designed for cycling. Bike lanes are separate from the main roads, traffic rules are clear, and everyone seems to know exactly where they're going. If you accidentally enter a bike lane, you know it immediately. A bell rings behind you and usually another immediately afterward. Then there are the canals themselves. In Amsterdam, there are moments when the water comes first and the city somehow gets congested afterwards. Narrow streets, bridges, and reflections in the water create a surprisingly serene atmosphere for such a popular place. The houses lining the canals are equally memorable. Narrow, long, and in some cases slightly sloping, they almost seem to lean towards each other. There's a practical reason for this shape. Centuries ago, property taxes were determined by the width of a house along the street. People responded by building upwards rather than outwards. The city skyline, which attracts millions of visitors today, is, strangely enough, partly a result of an old tax system. Then, when you arrive in Rotterdam, you feel like you've entered a completely different country. While Amsterdam is an old and established city, Rotterdam gives the impression of being a modern and constantly bustling city. The city was heavily damaged during World War II. After the war, the Dutch had a choice: to rebuild exactly what they had lost or to start from scratch. They chose the latter. Today, Rotterdam is known for its modern architecture. Skyscrapers rise above the city, unusual buildings line the riverbanks, and the city skyline looks very different from most European cities. It feels less like a place trying to preserve the past and more like a place determined to look to the future. One of the biggest reasons for Rotterdam's importance is its port. For decades, it was one of the world's largest ports. Even today, it remains one of Europe's most important shipping hubs. Cargo ships arrive from almost every continent. Containers are unloaded and rapidly redistributed across Europe by rail, truck, and river transport. Watching this operation, you begin to understand why it plays such an important role in the Dutch economy, despite the country's relatively small size. And of course, there are the tulips. Every spring, parts of the Netherlands transform into endless fields of color. Rows of red, yellow, purple, and pink stretch towards the horizon. From above, they look too regular to be real. The funny thing is, tulips aren't even native to the Netherlands. They came from the East centuries ago. However, over time, the Dutch embraced this flower so much that tulips eventually became one of the country's most recognizable symbols. There was a time when people were willing to pay exorbitant sums for tulip bulbs. Some bulbs sold for prices comparable to house prices. This is one of those historical stories that seems entirely fabricated, but becomes believable when you realize it actually happened. Another thing the Netherlands does on a surprisingly large scale is agriculture. Given the country's size, it surprises most people to learn that it is one of the world's largest agricultural exporters. The reason is technology. Across the country, enormous greenhouses utilize carefully controlled temperatures, lighting systems, and automated processes to maximize production. Some of these facilities resemble scientific laboratories more than farms. It seems odd that a country so small it can be traversed in an afternoon produces food that reaches tables all over the world. But somehow the Netherlands has achieved it. If there is one thing that has shaped the country more than anything else, it is water. Floods have destroyed villages, reshaped coastlines, and tested the people who live here time and again. Yet each disaster has led to new solutions. Better dikes, stronger dams, more advanced pumping systems. Today, the Netherlands boasts one of the most advanced water management systems on Earth. Engineers from around the world come here to study how the Dutch cope with floods and rising sea levels. Because ultimately, the Dutch didn't just fight the water, they learned to live with it. You can see some of this practical mindset in the people themselves. The Dutch are known for being direct. They usually say what they think and don't spend much time softening their opinions. This might seem a little harsh to visitors at first, but after spending some time here, you begin to understand that this is usually perceived as honesty rather than rudeness. There's also a strong sense of balance in daily life. Work is certainly important, but it's not seen as the only important thing. Time spent with family, hobbies, and personal interests are also considered important. Perhaps this is one of the reasons why the Netherlands consistently ranks among the countries with the highest quality of life. Let's step back for a moment and look at the big picture. Many things about this country don't explain why it has become so effective. Limited territory, challenging geography, and a relatively small population aren't typically components of a global success story. Yet the Netherlands persevered. When things went wrong, it constantly built, adjusted, and rebuilt. Many people leave the Netherlands somewhat bewildered. It still looks small on the map. but it doesn't feel small at all in your memory.